Wednesday edition of Fantasy Football today should be a fun one. We got kind of a mailbag vibe today, one of those Friday mailbag vibes. We got Jamie and Dan here. I am Adam, and good morning to everybody. It looks like Dan is dressed for winter, but it is, alas, it is summer. What's up with the...
No, actually, it's a very light. It's a very nice and light shirt, very light material. I actually did something I've never done today. I woke up at 5:45 a.m. and I played a round of golf before work today. Early pre-work golf round, which is a great feeling. Didn't get a lot of sleep because I'm not an early go-to-bed guy. I'm 1 a.m., but I'm fine now. You got outside. I'm a walker on the golf course. I don't cart. I walk every time. So I feel good. But I do have a little bone to pick with you, Adam.
Oh, wow. What a shock.
Yeah, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Adam claims to be this all-worldly, diehard Knicks fan. Oh, my God, he lives and dies by the Knicks. He's watching all the game. He considers himself so last night, the Knicks make a blockbuster trade. And, at this point, I've got three go-to friends, Knicks friends. My friend Scott Yanofsky, shout out, diehard. My friend Gary Levine, shout out, diehard. And apparently Adam, who's a supposed diehard fan. So I text all three, snap reaction, good trade, bad trade. I get these amazing detailed answers from Gary. He comes right back. Oh, my God, he's so pumped. Got me excited. My other friend, Scott, it's a lot. We gave up a lot. He's giving me a detailed answer. He's telling me about Mikal Bridges' game, how it's going to fit the Knicks. Adam's response is, I honestly don't know. That was his response. I honestly don't know. That was it. How's the trade? Snap reaction. Hoping for something good from him. Give me something good. Immediate response. I don't know. So, diehard Knicks fan, Adam Mazer.
That has nothing to do with that. It was a crazy trade. It's a lot to give up. My official stance is I don't like the trade. They gave up too much.
Oh,
great trade.
We have two Dan trends. One that's kind of been there for a long time, and one that's now new. The new one is the shout outs. He's now 2 episodes in.
Yeah, he's a big shouter.
Yeah. So apparently Dan, listen, if Dan's trying to up our audience with his friends watching, then we appreciate it.
Exactly.
The other one is anytime you make a comment about anything that Dan wears, the first thing out of his mouth is, it's nice. It's nice. No, this is nice.
Also, he always has a bone to pick with me. Okay, so what's coming up on today's show? Fill in the blank, name that player, and your emails at Fantasy Football.
Can we do the feud, please?
Oh, no. Yeah, I would love to do the feud, but you still have to buzz in, I guess. We can still make you buzz in and name that player. All right, let's get to fill in the blank here. This one is from IX Foley. Could be an L or a capital I at the beginning of his name. I don't know. Blank is the Patriots wide receiver to draft this season.
Demario Douglas.
I think Drake May is going to play earlier than expected, build a nice rapport, but I think if we're just talking PPR and safety, I'm going to go Demario Douglas too. He's looked good too. He was the best looking receiver in minicamp.
I'm wondering if any of them got drafted in our magazine draft.
Douglas did. If anyone, it was Douglas.
Okay, I'll take a look.
I Polk too.
Douglas did not get drafted. Polk may have. No, none of them did.
Okay.
That was a 12-team league, and it was 16 rounds with a kicker and a DST.
One of my first waiver claims.
Lawrence, there you go. Lauren says blank will finish the season as the top Chargers wide receiver, and he will be wide receiver blank overall.
Ooh, I like that one.
Lad McConkey, and he will be wide receiver 27 overall.
I'm going to go outside the box here. I'm going to go Josh Palmer, and he'll be wide receiver 28 overall.
Where do you think Stephon Diggs will finish this year, Jamie?
Wide receiver 25.
Okay, so you think McConkey will be 2 spots lower than Diggs?
Yes.
Obviously, this is kind of shooting from the hip. I just want to point out, I traded in a Dynasty League Stephon Diggs for Lad McConkey and got kind of crushed for it.
Well, no, it wasn't Stephon Diggs for Lad McConkey. It was Stephon Diggs and at AD Mitchell for Lad McConkey.
Well, it ended up being him, yes. Yes. Okay. I just want to point out it was great.
Let's just make it clear that I also got back your second-round pick. It was my second for Adam's second plus Stephon Diggs.
And when Dan asked me, how did you feel about that trade, which he and I made, I said, I honestly don't know. Right. All right, from Danny Clay. If blank gets injured or wins the lottery, blank will.
Dan's friend Chris loves that joke.
If blank gets injured or wins the lottery, blank will be a top 10 player at their position.
I mean, there's like 50 answers to this.
I'll go Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell.
I don't think I agree with that.
I think Elijah Mitchell can be top 10. He was what
just
was
running backs?
Wasn't he? Yeah, just among running backs, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he top 10 the year he broke out or no?
That's a good question.
I thought he was on a per game basis.
It was rookie season when Raheem Mostert got hurt.
Yeah.
Is it just running backs we're looking for here?
No, it's anything.
Okay, I'll go non-running backs. I will say Justin Fields if Russell Wilson gets hurt or benched.
Oh, I like that one.
Wins the lottery.
I like that one.
Let's go with trying to think the receiver. Romo Dunze if DJ Moore gets hurt.
Not sure. I think T. Higgins and Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, obviously.
Sure, those guys. I was going a little deeper.
I got a former second round pick. I like.
Kind of a late pick now. I mean,
who?
T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I feel like draft stock is absolutely plummeted.
Late,
like much later than Waddle. Later than the kid he was going
his
with.
value will start to change now that he signed because we haven't done a draft since he signed.
Right.
Well, I'm just looking at ADP. I'm not looking at us.
His ADP is 55th overall.
It is pretty
Yeah,
late.
right.
I mean, there's a lot of running backs. Obviously, you can go one of the Titans guys if the other one gets hurt.
Yeah, I think you can go Zach Charbonnet. I like Zach Charbonnet if Walker gets hurt.
Charbonnet's a good one.
Yeah, Corum, maybe Benson. All right, let's go on.
I mean, top 10 stuff. Top 10 stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, half PPR, Elijah Mitchell was RB12 per game.
Okay, a little off, but I was close.
No, he probably in non PPR, I bet he was 10. Full PPR, he was 15 or 16.
I mean, he's one of my favorite buys this year. I really like him a lot in fantasy. I think he's one of the best handcuffs you can get.
All right, from JREWW, people who still want standard scoring leagues are blank.
Not as lame as the people who still want snake drafts instead of auction drafts. That's my answer.
50 and older.
And also not as lame as the people who want 1 QB leagues over super flex leagues.
But I also say that there's maybe a little bit of a rebellion against PPR because it is so cheap.
It's cheap. I don't love it. There needs to be a better way to do it, which we haven't figured out, and none of us have. Maybe
half PPR is the way to do it.
I mean, you can weight the positions.
Right. I think the first down point for first downs is not terrible, but not great. We haven't figured it out, at least in my mind.
Okay.
We have figured out, though, that Superflex is better than 1 QB. That's obvious.
Yeah, I agree. Lucas Miller says blank will get a lot of preseason hype, be overdrafted, and will turn out to be a bust.
Oh, I love this type of one. Who's going to get the most preseason?
I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr.
But I don't think he'll be a bust. So that has to be also he'll be a bust. Unless you think he's going to bust. I don't know.
We'll get a lot of preseason hype, but we'll be a bust.
I don't think he will be a bust, but much clearer path to it. It would be Malik Nabers.
I knew you were going to say Nabers.
I guarantee he's getting preseason hype.
I got mine that I really think could be a bust, and I don't like him as much as everybody likes him. I know there's the coordinator thing that looks good for him, but he's coming off a big injury. Jonathan Brooks is the one for me. That's the one I'm going to go with.
That's a good one. That's an interesting
one. I'm not as high on him as everybody else.
But the problem, though, is he going to get a lot of preseason hype?
I was just thinking that, like, how does he get the preseason hype unless he comes back faster than we think? So that probably doesn't answer the question.
Do I have to believe he's a bust or just?
Yes.
Got to be a bust. It might. You know who could get it? And then just not be as big a part of the offense when the real games play out as we think? Brock Bowers, because he's going to look insanely good in camp, go matching up against linebackers and, going against air, no pads. But, like, it's possible that he just doesn't get what we need in the regular season. That offense doesn't function the way we want.
If Nick Chubb shows up to training camp on time?
Maybe. Chubb's ADP is a weird thing right now.
What about Aaron Rodgers?
No, if Rodgers plays, he's pretty good.
Every time he sneezes, he's going to get it's going to be an article about him. And that's the thing is he could look really good. He just may not be that good for fantasy.
Yeah.
But this is a good question here. Preseason hype. Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that could be put in this category. Just I don't know necessarily.
They're gonna bust. Yeah, that's a problem.
Like Xavier Worthy is probably gonna look great.
Yeah, that could be a good one because we know it takes time for the Chiefs receivers.
Almost every rookie is gonna get a lot of hype.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Next up. Oh, how about this from Mark? Malik Nabers finishes with blank touchdowns.
This one I like. So I think that, I'm going to give credit to him. He nailed this. Matt Harmon nailed the most likely outcome for Malik Nabers, and it's Jalen Waddle's rookie season, which is low yards, low ADOT, average up target, low yards per catch, but a lot of receptions, a lot of easy, gimme, quick look receptions, which they're going to do with Nabers, and low touchdowns. So I'm thinking 6 touchdowns.
I would say 6.
I saw that, and I saw you tweeting about it. Like it was the most amazing revelation. Like you said, he nailed his projection. His season didn't even happen yet. You can't say he nailed it.
I think he nailed it. It's a guess. I think that he's going to have nailed this projection.
I don't see it. That was a weird year for Jalen Waddle. They turned Jalen Waddle into something that Jalen Waddle wasn't.
Right, and that's exactly what the Giants are going to do with Malik Nabers.
Why?
Because Daniel Jones can't throw the ball vertically on a consistent basis. He doesn't process the field. He doesn't get the ball out on time, and he doesn't throw it in front of the wide receivers. He's never had a vertical passing game. He's thrown 15 touchdown passes in his best season ever.
I know, but he's still not playing to Nabers' strength. I have to sneeze. You talk.
Yeah, I know. He's not playing to Nabers' strength. That's like a lot of quarterbacks don't play the receiver.
Don't worry, Drew Lock will be great for him.
I think Drew Lock could be decent.
If I didn't get that sneeze out, I would have been drool locked right there. Okay,
I've watched that Drew Lock game against the Eagles from last year on Monday Night Football far too many times to be willing to admit. Like 3 or 4 times.
And you think he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones?
No, I think Jones if he's at his best will be better, but I think Drew Lock will at least throw the football down the field.
Oh, okay. Let's take a break. Enough of that talk. We'll come back with some Texans wide receiver, fill in the blank, Bryce Young, and more after this.
Football action continues. Are you ready for this? Ready to take chances? As the gridiron is taken over by the Great White North. It's time to storm the fortress. It's time to fight on the battlefield. Catch the Canadian Football League on CBS Sports Network.
This one is from Jay Flumps. The 2024 season just ended. Tank Dell finished as wide receiver 5 overall. CJ Stroud has thrown 38 touchdown passes.
Ooh.
Nico Collins finished as wide receiver blank, and Stephon Diggs finished as wide receiver blank.
Was Heath allowed to send in fill in the blanks, or was this just somebody else?
He actually did send in a fill in a blank. It was like, the Knicks will finish blank games behind the Celtics.
I saw that. Yeah. Great joke, Heath.
Yeah,
Nico Collins will finish as wide receiver 15, and Stephon Diggs will finish as wide receiver 25.
I'm going to go less than that because I think if Tank Dell finishes wide receiver 5, he has to get a lot of touchdown luck, and that takes away a lot of the touchdowns from the other two. So I'm going to go Nico, wide receiver 18, Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 26.
But this is
Wait a second. I messed up, though. He threw for 38 touchdowns. CJ Stroud's just ripping touchdowns left and right, so never mind. Nico Collins, wide receiver 14, Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 22.
Okay. Jaquan says Bryce Young's ceiling is QB blank.
Fantasy wise, QB ceiling, we're talking about QB 15,
18.
Okay.
No,
Ceiling, though, Jamie. Ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh,
not
that's
fantasy wise. Not fantasy wise. We don't do fantasy on this show, Dan.
What do you mean? That's what I'm talking about. Ceiling fantasy wise.
I know, but it was just a silly question because obviously it's just fantasy wise,
Well, yeah, but you know what? Sometimes you have to think about, you know what, Adam, move on to the next one.
This one is from Adam. Similar to Sam Laporta, I can see a rookie blank going later in fantasy drafts who could end up producing big numbers.
I like how they use Laporta, not Puka. I'm trying to think. Like it's hard for any of the running backs to think without an injury.
I think it's possible. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Jamie.
Like, I mean, those two guys were borderline waiver wire picks. Laporta was at best a late round pick. Nakua, we know, was a waiver wire pick. We did this the last week, I think, right? You said Jermaine Burton was your guy. Who did I say? Jalen McMillan. So it's going to be players like that.
Yeah, Sinnott. I think Ben Sinnott can potentially do it, depending on the role in the offense. If it's early, we'll know. It's a late guy. I think, one of those two, him or Luke McCaffrey, one of those two is going to build a rapport with Jaden Daniels and be really good this year. I don't know which one of those two, but I like those two. Who else from the late guys? I mean,
remember, you got to think late fantasy wise, because we're still like in rookie draft mode,
right.
so it's a little strange. So like you could see Adonai Mitchell. We talked about that with the trade. He could be somebody that pops and develops a rapport with Anthony Richardson. Adam kind of poo-pooed this yesterday, but it still makes some sense if they can develop a role. It's Theo Johnson and Jatavian Sanders. There's tight end openings on those teams.
There are, yeah, but that's gonna be tough to see. Those guys,
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with what you said, and you were just reading the reports, but there's opportunities there.
Yeah,
I give you one. I give you one that's there needs to be a path, but depending on what kind of draft you're doing right now, best ball, whatever. Ricky Pearsall. If there's an Ayuk trade.
One that needs to also be a path, but like the path might not be as crazy as we think, considering the injury histories of the two players that are ahead of him on the depth chart. Jalen Wright, because we know if he does get an opportunity in that offense, he's going to be electric and he's going to score fantasy points. And HN was hurt last year, and he's coming off 2 injuries last year, and Mostert's older and had injuries prior in his career. It's like that one is interesting to me, Jalen Wright.
Yeah, I think. Any of the running backs make a ton.
True, you can make the case. Yeah,
they're
sorry, 2 more real quick. The fantasy football Bassett says Drake London will finish as wide receiver blank next season.
10.
12 for me.
And from Rick Troll, very funny name. If Dan Schneier runs a blank second 100-meter dash, Adam will shave 3 lines in his head.
Nah, see, we've already learned that Adam will fold under the pressure and will, not shave the lines in his head even after he promises to shave the lines in his head, because we've gone through this before. So they have to find another way to get through to Adam Azer. And, last time he leaned on some excuses. My wife was on an important phone call at 10 p.m. I just couldn't get her off the phone. And then Jamie's like, well, I'll show up the next day with the 3 lines shaved in my head. Now the ball's back in your court. And apparently his wife had a lot more important calls, so just never got to the shade, never got to the razor.
I think you should show up for the night of the draft-a-thon with 3 lines on each side of your head. It'll grow back in 4 or 5 days. Nobody will know.
Dan, my wife is a 911 operator.
No, she's not.
Her whole job is important phone calls.
No, she's not. You just made that up.
I know
your wife does.
Yes, Adam texts her 911.
Oh, by the way, we got to start hyping this, Adam. We got to start hyping a potential, donate enough to St. Jude and we'll do our combine thing.
Will you just get over here and we'll play tennis already?
Yeah, but we have to hype it up. We want to build money we want to raise money for Draft-a-thon, Adam. It's not just we do it for free. No one does anything. We got to raise the bar here. Okay.
I'll donate $100 for every game that I beat you. So if I beat you 6-2, that's a 4-game, spread. I'll donate $400.
Wait, you're going into this thing thinking that you're giving me games on the spread?
I'm gonna beat you. Yeah, I feel good about it.
Okay, so we're just gonna do this straight up, right?
Yeah.
You sure you want this? I'm giving you
I do. 100%. Yeah.
You want to play straight up, and I don't give you any games.
You're not giving me games. What are you kidding me? Who does that?
No one, but I'm willing to.
Why don't you give me the doubles alley, Dan?
Okay.
No, I don't need it. I'm telling you.
Give me the doubles alley.
Give me the doubles alley, Dan.
I got this. All right, let's name that player. Here we go. I just turned 27 years old earlier this month.
Okay.
All right. My last name is a southern city. I have been on 2 NFL teams, both in the same division. In 2023, I set career highs in rushing yards per game, rushing touchdowns, and yards per carry. I was the number 5 running back per game in non-PPR, number 12 per game in half PPR, and number 15 per game in full PPR.
Jamie.
Yeah.
David Montgomery.
Hey, you got it. Very nice. Jamie wins.
Why am I so bad at these games?
I don't know. I was about to ask you that. Why are you so bad at these games?
You know what the thing is? You've never put yourself in the position of having to play the game. So one day we'll reverse the roles. I'll be asking the questions. You'll be facing Jamie. Actually, I'll bring in Heath for that because nobody beats Heath.
See, there's a trick to the game.
What's that?
Can't tell you.
Okay, great.
I didn't know I was unaware of this. All right, next up, I will turn 25 years old in October. Based on my Pro Football Reference picture and a quick Google image search, it seems like I often wear a headband. I did notice that. A lot of headband pictures. My first name is the last name of an NFC South quarterback. I led my team in receiving in 3 of the last 4 games of the season, including 2 playoff games. I was a first-round pick, and I'm entering my 2nd season.
My first name was the last name of an NFC South quarterback. That's not even could be a bench guy, I guess.
Yep, a lot of headbands. Led his team and played 2 playoff games. Jamie loves this guy. Breakout.
Oh no! How am I not getting this?
George Pickens?
No, he played in 1 playoff game.
Jeff George.
I was thinking pickups too, just because you liked him. But it's got to be one of these Packers.
No, they're not in the NFC South. Oh, you're saying? Oh no, it's Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton can.
Yeah, Andy Dalton is on the.
Oh no, you're right.
That was the worst name that player.
Why the headband?
That wasn't bad. That was on us.
You never say the position, so you don't do this right.
Yeah, I'd like to get the position. To be honest, this game is. I'm tired of this game without a position. I'd like you to start with the position.
And when
we're not just gonna guess from the random pool of all positions.
So I wasn't gonna say when you did the first one because you went with stats that were clearly a running back, but this could have been a receiver.
Right. Let's get position going. Okay, Adam. Enough.
Oh, okay. All right.
As the creator of the game, I should teach you how to play the game.
I don't think I'm going to give position here, but
I think I'm gonna like Jamie's adaptation of this game a lot better. But go on.
I've got position in this one. Okay. I have caught 7 touchdowns in each of the last 2 seasons. I have been a top 16 wide receiver overall and top 20 per game in each of the last 2 seasons in PPR. My teammate missed weeks 11, 12, and 13, and I had 96 or more yards in all 3 of those games with 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, I had 90 or more yards in only 2 other regular season games all season. But then a different teammate missed our playoff game, and I had 8 catches for 148 yards on 12 targets.
Is it George Pickens?
No.
Nico Collins?
No. Okay. Good guesses. Good guesses. Good guesses.
Those are my
played 1 playoff game. All right, top 20 2 years in a row. So that's not going to be Nico Collins.
Oh yeah, that can't be George Pickens either.
Really only great when a teammate was missing last year.
2 playoff. Gabe? No.
I'm surprised Jamie didn't get this. It is Devontae Smith.
Oh, that's a good one.
And every time, he just like we had that question earlier, that fill in the blank, who could be top 10 if a player gets hurt. I mean, he could be top 10 if Dallas Goedert gets hurt. This guy is so good when he gets targeted. Just need him to get more targets.
Very tilted out by this game. Really am.
And when I was, when Jamie and I were fighting last week about AJ Brown being bust proof.
Yes.
My argument was just like, I just feel like there's a scenario where Devontae Smith, narrows the target gap. There's a big gap last year.
Well, if it's the Kellen Moore offense and he's playing the slot role, that Kellen Moore offense, he's taking over the target gap.
Yeah, you brought that up earlier. I hadn't seen anything about that. Just, doing all the research on AJ Brown, it seemed as if all the Philadelphia writers, and again, I didn't read all of them, but they were all suggesting that role will more go to AJ Brown than it will to Devontae Smith.
Yeah, still possible.
All right, so if you think that had you on tilt or tilted out or whatever you said there, because you think you're a poker player, we have a YouTube poll, and it has 79 votes. What was Dan's golf score today? Over 96 or under 96?
No, it was on 9 holes.
Oh, so over 90.
6:50 to 8:50 a.m. 9 holes is perfect.
Over 96, I'll still take. Fine. So that would be over 48. And I'll take the over.
Do I review what I got or no?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Wrong. 45.
Oh, 45. Wow. Very good.
Playing very good lately.
The people did not have any faith in you. 2/3.
I broke 90 again since our last time we showed it on video. So I had that going for me. Things are going well in that game for me.
Good job.
For now, at least. The problem is,
you guys should do a round of golf as part of
the problem is I haven't picked. Well, he has no chance in that. But I mean, mostly
you got to give him a handicap. I mean,
I'll give him a handicap. Yeah, I'll give him a handicap. I don't know what he would. I don't think Adam could like complete a hole. Would be my guess.
I would probably shoot like a 130.
I'm not so sure about that. If we're counting every stroke, can you?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Can you get the ball off the ground?
Yeah. It's all the other stuff. I could drive.
Thomas, do you think that Thomas, do you think that any of this is true? What Adam's saying, that he could 1, drive decent, and 2, get the ball off the ground consistently?
No, and I think we would have to give him a max, like a triple, like that's your max. Like if you if you get a 6, like 6 is your max. Well, that's how handicaps work. Like if you're not as good, just to keep the pace.
But if he tripled every hole, he would shoot under 130, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I have such a great competition for the two of you.
Okay.
What?
You both have to eat the messiest hamburger ever with no stick, and whoever loses the most toppings.
Oh, wait, with no stick. So then, wouldn't that suggest that the stick was in? Wouldn't you be suggesting?
No,
right
you
there,
would
Jamie?
use the stick.
You just said no stick.
Most humans would not.
You
That's
just said no stick.
No stick.
Yeah, I would win this competition. Like Dan would end up Dan. Yeah, Dan's a stick guy. He can't.
Well, you can eat your baked burger, Adam. I'll have a nice fried burger.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, what was I gonna say? When I play golf, do I get to leave the pin in the hole, like to leave the flag in like you did to cheat? To get
actually, that's not cheating. If you look at the numbers, you are more likely to make a putt when you pull the pin. So I actually wish the pin was pulled. You make more putts when the pin.
Why didn't you pull it?
Because I don't know, that moment I didn't do it. Regardless,
because that's a lot. That's a ridiculous.
No, that's true. Thomas,
you're allowed to leave the pin in now. That's a USGA rule. Watch a PGA Tour event on CBS, and you'll see
Thank God I have Thomas here to correct Adams. One more final thing on this, since we've gone off the rails a little bit. I did have a friend who's a regular listener of our show.
Shout out
Kevin Avensler. A lot of shout outs today. Audit and say that Adam actually never said baked burgers are amazing or anything, or the best way to make a burger.
True.
He only said that they're passable, that they're still decently good. Baked.
Right. Agreed. And
he said he's not wrong about that because he tried it once and it was not wrong about that.
Thank you. I did not think that was going to be a supportive one last thing.
It's very rarely that I'll support you.
You did say, Dan, that you would have a fried burger.
Yeah,
and
why would you fry your burger?
No, I like fried burger. Like on a flat top. That's fried burger to me. Grill is on a grill outside in your house at barbecue. It's a completely different taste when you cook it on a grill than when you fry it on a flat top.
Well, why would you prefer frying it over grilling it?
I like it. I like fried smash burgers. Those are my favorite. I like that over a grill burger for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, however, Adam did say that mustard is too.
Well, that's a terrible. It's not that we're not sitting here. No, thank you to say that Adam doesn't have millions and millions of horrific takes. Let's
get to some millions and millions of emails. All right. This is from Bill in Michigan. Is Jacoby Myers undervalued? He was 28th in PPR scoring last year. Seems like a solid potential wide receiver 2-3 if he keeps up similar numbers. Am I wrong to be drafting Jacoby Myers for best ball?
For best ball, no. That's a good late round pick just because he should outproduce where he's being selected. And he's another guy. He won't be top 10, but if something happens to Devontae Adams, I mean, he's going to get force-fed targets. So that's the type of player that, you can get just great value out of. But, you look at this offense again, we talked about this with Devontae Adams. Are they going to force feed him the same amount of targets? I think that comes down from the 175 plus he's had each of the last 2 years. Does that mean the other guys are going to benefit? I don't think so. I think we're going to see a more run-centric, type of system. And now you're bringing in Brock Bowers, and even as Dan said, he might get overhyped. He's still a significant piece of this offense that they didn't have a year ago. So I don't mind a late round pick on Jacoby Myers, but I wouldn't overvalue him based on what he did last year.
Well, Jacoby Myers, and you don't know if this is going to carry over, but he was awful with Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell just did not throw to him.
He really was awful once McDaniels left.
They coincided.
Yeah, but that was, he came with him from New England.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Next question is from Jeff. My league is considering switching from 1 quarterback to 2 quarterback, but some of our league mates are concerned that it will make QBs too important and the only thing that matters. I did some value-based draft research on the last 10 fantasy seasons, and I strongly do not believe that to be the case. However, I took a look at Fantasy Pros Superflex rankings, and they have 8 quarterbacks in the first 11 picks, where my research suggests that QB 8 shouldn't go until about pick 30. What am I missing? Are quarterback finishes really that much more predictable than they should be, that they should be bumped up so much in the draft? It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Please help.
So the reason why they're pushed up, and I think there's a fair case to be made that we may be overvaluing to an extent, but the reason they're pushed up is not based on anything that you unpack there. And that's not invaluable information. That's valuable information you unpack. But the reason they're pushed up is purely based on supply and demand, scarcity of the position. So what I would say is this: Superflex leagues to me are at their best when they're 10 or 12 teams max. I like them better at 10. But when you go above that, if you're a 13, 14, not 13, if you're a 14 team league, you can't play Superflex, in my opinion. It's too watered down. And even if it's a 12, the whole idea here is there's 36 starting QBs every week, right? Or 32 starting QBs every week, not 36. Yep. That was wild for a second. Yeah. And you need to be rostering 3, honestly, if you're in a Superflex league. So not everyone's going to have a chance to roster 3.
Yeah. Shout out to Dan's math teacher. Oh
yeah, no one's ever gotten a math thing wrong on this show. You know what? I can't wait till one of you. I can't wait till one of you does that. Something like that. Jamie, I'll get you soon. Don't worry, buddy. Adam, you give me stuff every day to work with, but Jamie, I got you, bud.
All right, so it is pretty interesting. I will say, if you haven't played a Superflex league, definitely do Superflex instead of 2 QB.
Yeah.
But if you haven't played it, I mean, I just cannot. I look at every year at the teams that win. There is no pattern. It is never, it's the team that took 2 quarterbacks early, or it's the team that waited on quarterback. It's kind of a crapshoot, which is awesome. You do not need to take quarterbacks with each of your first 2 picks. You don't need to shy away from that. But you also have, everybody's taking quarterbacks in the first round. Well, that does kind of mean you have to get in on that. It doesn't mean that, but it means you have to. You always have to pay attention to what the other people are doing in your draft.
I think when we go back to the shows we did this week, this is kind of where that comes in, right? Because there's a lot of uncertainty really after the first 14, 15 picks. And so when you start to see that quarterback run go, to your point, Adam, okay, do I want to take, Kyron Williams or QB8? That type of, consideration comes into play, so I think that it just makes it easy to take quarterbacks in this scenario when we're starting to get to the back end of round 1, certainly round 2.
All right, let's take a break here. When we come back, we will talk about another Superflex league, but it's actually a flex question. We have some Tom Cruise comments.
You put a stick in a fried burger. Just want to get that established.
Fries the stick.
No, the burger. Look, we've already gone over this. The only time they're going to leave the stick in the burger is when you have those massive burgers with 1 million toppings. Your classic lettuce, tomato, onion, no, and any kind of smash burger is just onions. It's just fried onions, cheese, and burger.
Okay. Fried onions, yeah. Raw onions.
No, you make it on the smash burger. You never seen how they do this? They put the raw onions on the grill with the burger. They smash it down, and it cooks into the burger. It's phenomenal.
I don't know where I saw it.
Everywhere.
Oh, I saw it was on Twitter. Not that, Dan. I'm talking about something else. Somebody making burgers. They took a Coke can. They put the burger meat around the Coke can, took the can out, and then just stuffed it with a whole bunch of great stuff. It was a stuffed burger. It looked really, really good. All right, taking a break. Well, we'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
An unsub, a seasoned one, and he's leaving a calling card.
How do we find a ghost? I have a plan.
This is from Picky Pals. My super flex league is switching to a 2-flex league. How should I treat the second flex? Is there a position which performs better in the flex position? What do you think? I have some data if you guys would like. I think it was fantasydata.com I used. Yeah. In 2023, I just looked at the top 50 players. In standard scoring, it was 25 running backs, 24 wide receivers, 1 tight end. In half PPR, it was 23 running backs, 26 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. And the top 50 players in PPR last year, by the way, no quarterbacks in this, just flexes. 16 running backs, 30 wide receivers, 4 tight ends. That was in PPR. So there definitely varies on your format. 2022 wasn't quite as wasn't the same. 2022 top 50 in standard was 29 running backs and 19 wide receivers, whereas in 23 that was 25 running backs and 24 wide receivers. Half PPR in 2022, the top 50 players, 22 running backs, 25 receivers, and 3 tight ends. That was pretty similar to what we saw in 23. But in 2022, the top 50 in PPR were 21 running backs, 26 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. Not even close to as wide receiver heavy as it was in PPR in 2023. Last year was a bad year for running backs. But yeah, PPR, I don't know. I guess I would say in PPR, your flex is probably going to be a wide receiver more often than not.
I would prefer it to be that, but again, depends on the strength of your team and what kind of players you have. And clearly, you could hit on a couple late round running backs or have some of these injury concerns that we deal with where you have the handcuff or the backup and those guys pop, like Dan's scenario of Jalen Wright, for example, so I think for the most part, I'd go in leaning wide receiver if you can, and, just see how it plays out throughout the course of the year.
Okay. Moving on to an email from Alex from Lansdale, and he's the reigning champion of his fantasy league.
Nice.
Subject, Adam is right. I can see.
Oh, no wonder you read it.
Yeah, these are the ones that really tell the story of Adam Azer. When you start to see this and you unpack it and you see how many of the emails he features that are nice about him, how many features, you start to learn some things.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's learn this. I can see where Adam is coming from with his analysis of Tom Cruise as an action star. I love Tom Cruise and appreciate all of the work he does for his movies, and he is no doubt an action star. But I know what you mean by he's a different kind of action star. He's not an Arnold or a Sly Stallone type guy. This doesn't take away from his undeniable stardom. Jamie bringing up Jack Reacher is such a stretch. He is not the guy to play that role, and the franchise made that obvious when they cast the guy from Blue Mountain State as Jack Reacher in the series. All of that being said, I love the Mission Impossible movies, and I forget if you were watching them out of order or not, but I want to say that in case you are starting from the beginning, don't be discouraged by Mission Impossible 2, one of the all-time worst movies. It gets back on track with MI3 and then hits an untouchable sweet spot with 4, 5, and finally 6, which is the best action film you'll ever see. Wow. 7 is fine, but because 6 is so good and 7 is supposed to be a 2-part finale, which it is no longer, it was never going to live up to the hype.
Okay. I think that this
6
whole
is pretty incredible
idea that there's like a classic type of action figure, action hero. What about like Jason Bourne? What about Matt Damon and Jason Bourne? Right?
Yeah, he's more of a badass than Mission.
No, that's the same thing. He's on the same level as Tom Cruise, in my opinion.
No, he's not. He would beat up. Why? He would beat up Cruise's character.
Oh, come on.
He probably would.
Right?
He's a badass. I mean, he'd beat up a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying. He would not need glasses to see the lasers. So which one is Mission Impossible 6?
You want to hear something crazy? I've seen none of the Mission Impossible.
That's the one with Henry Cavill.
Isn't that insane? Never seen one Mission Impossible.
You've never seen it either?
Not a single.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you?
I don't watch movies. I've only seen TV shows. And then the movies Adam makes me watch.
I've seen 2 now. You should really start watching. I've seen which one's
Let me tell you something even crazier and worse off for me.
All Out.
It's gonna make me look even worse than having not seen any of those. Not a big fan of action movies.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Not my thing. I like plot. I like acting. I don't really love action.
Great action movies. Like the better actors make them, great.
I think it's the scenes, like the action scenes. I don't enjoy them. It's not for me. It's very weird.
Like car chases. You know that.
You don't like car chases?
Car chases.
Nah, car chases are so lame.
I mean, I don't want action. I want plot.
All right. I've seen number 5, Rogue Nation, and the original. Rogue Nation was great. Okay. This one is from Kevin. Subject: Adam's antiquated action archetype. The concept of a true action star being a tough guy, which is just code for big and muscular, feels antiquated. It would be like saying the current top 5 wide receivers in fantasy aren't true alphas because they are all sub 205 pounds and they used to be bigger.
Nice.
When the point of being an alpha is being an elite performer, not just looking at the way people think they should look because that's how they used to look.
Wow, this guy just destroyed you right there. Just roast you. I'm surprised you even read that email.
It's not fair. And then this one,
fair.
Yeah, that was to throw us off the scent.
This one is from Seth. Cannot watch House of Dragons without thinking of Heath.
Well,
It's so funny.
Wait, what? Did I miss this? I've been too busy with the magazine. I haven't caught up on a lot of shows. What did I miss?
Have you seen House of Dragons the
Yes.
first season?
Yes.
The
He
Hand
looks
of the
like
King.
Hand of the King.
Oh my God, he does look like Heath. Holy crap. That is wild. Otto Hightower. He looks a lot like Heath.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did Jamie, are you the one who pointed out who he was in the replacements? He's the kicker.
He's the kicker in the replacements. Oh my God.
If you
But
could,
this version of him looks even more like Heath, Otto Hightower. Oh my God.
for sure. By the way, if you've never seen someone's mind be blown twice in 10 seconds, please watch Dan Steyer on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyfootball. Back to some fantasy questions.
Minute 41. Minute 41.
This is from Paul. I'm at minute 41.
That's funny. He's talking about watching it.
Oh, my half PPR 10.
You know the show is timed, right, Adam?
Yeah, but what do you mean minute 41? You
He
mean
needs timestamp in case people are listening if they want to go watch on
41
YouTube.
41 minutes. You said minute 41. Oh. I thought you meant like 1 minute and 41.
We're having a great day here, guys.
touchdown
We're all on
there.
point. We're all on top. Sharp game today.
All right, here we go. Half PPR, 10-team league. We can have
36
one
NFL
keeper,
teams.
and we trade draft picks. We can have one keeper, and we trade draft picks pre-draft. I got made an offer, and I'm not sure what to do. I have pick 106, and the guy that offered the trade is pick 103. He offered his 103 and Josh Jacobs in a 10-team league for my 205 and Tyreek Hill. So I would have 103 and 106, and Josh Jacobs would be my keeper in the second round. He would have Tyreek Hill and 2 second-round picks. What would you do?
Feels like it's one of these leagues. It's so hard to know without the context. It feels like it's one of these leagues where it's like a free-for-all where you can just keep anybody and just every good player is out of the draft pool. And like you're starting round 1, and it's really like a round 4 or 5 pick. And if it was a redraft in that scenario, I think I actually prefer the side that has Tyreek. Well, the side with the better player and the worst pick. So I think I would prefer the Hill side.
I guess the only thing would be is if you're rebuilding, it's dynasty, right?
Actually,
No,
pick 103, 106, and Josh Jacobs. I think I would rather have 103, 106, and Josh Jacobs than Tyreek Hill and...
No, I don't think... Oh, that's how it was? I thought you read it differently.
It's a dynasty league, right?
No, it's a keeper league. It's a 10-team keeper league.
But again, we have to know like what...
keeper league, then I think I'd rather just have Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, 10-team especially. And we don't know what this 103 and 106... It seems like
we don't know all the players that are being kept.
Yeah.
It seems like it's one of those leagues where you just keep all the great players. So I just don't
Well, I mean, you would be getting the rookies. So you have the chance at...
True.
Let's just say it's a 1 QB league. We don't know.
One QB.
Neighbors, I guess.
So you're looking. No, you're probably looking at Odunze at 3.
No, you're looking at much better players than that. I'm sure there's only one keeper per team, and it's
If it's 1 keeper per team, it's different.
It is one keeper per team.
Keeper per team.
So you'd have Jacobs.
103.
Yeah, then it changes it.
Yeah, it changes it. I'm out. I want the trade now. I thought it was one of those leagues where you just keep like every player, like 3 players are capped.
No, but if he kept Tyreek Hill, he'd still have 106. So actually,
No.
I'm not sure I love this.
Oh, if he keeps Tyreek Hill, he still has 106.
If he doesn't make the trade, he still has 106.
Then I'm not making the trade. No.
We're
Yeah, all
stuck.
right, keep Tyreek Hill. Just keep Tyreek Hill. By the way, Dan's prediction of Bijan finishing number 1 overall is about as bold as eating a sandwich with a toothpick holding it together. All right, Bill from Michigan. I don't know what the heck to do with Taysom Hill. I feel like he may be an easy add to my team in best ball format. Is he worth ads in redraft? Just saw the news of Juwan Johnson needing surgery. What do you think about Taysom Hill?
I mean, Juwan Johnson's not expected to miss the season, so that changes some things. He's expected to be ready for week 1. He's just going to miss training camp as of now. Now, if that changes anything, then that increases the value for Taysom Hill. But, I mean, we've seen what this guy has done. He's had pockets of amazing fantasy production. He's had pockets where he's just one of the more frustrating players, that you have to figure out, do I start him this week? Do I not start him this week? So, best ball, it's a great late round dart throw. Redraft, great late round dart throw. Investing heavily in Taysom Hill, probably not, unless it's Juwan Johnson's out, Alvin Kamara's a holdout, and then he's going to get significant touches. And if he gets significant touches, then he'll be good.
Wait, did you mention that he's quarterback eligible only on CBS?
I did not.
And I think that's the case. I mean, right now I'm looking at
it is the case.
Right now he is, yes. We still haven't ranked this tight end.
All right. If that changes, obviously he's much more valuable as a tight end than a quarterback. And this is from Joseph in Detroit. I'm 20 years old and I started and managed my family redraft. I can tell Dan is going to have a lot of good answers on this one. This is a Dan question. I'm 20 years old and I started and managed my family redraft league last year. There were probably 4 or 5 people out of 13. That's a weird number, by the way, that were serious about it. And many teams that didn't draft well and lost most of their games in the first 6 to 9 weeks and gave up, stopped managing their rosters. I noticed this and I changed the prizes a bit so the winner of the losers bracket got their money back, which was a $20 buy-in. This still didn't seem to incentivize continuing to manage their teams. So I was wondering, what are some ways you guys keep losing teams interested and playing? I've already decided to downsize to 10 people next year, kicking out some of the people that didn't care.
Well, one way I like to do it is a loser punishment for last place. So a last place punishment. Nothing crazy. I think you could just honestly do the one that everybody's doing now, where you have to go to a Waffle House or McDonald's or whatever, and you can get out in 24 hours if you eat enough, or, you have to be there. You cut down your time. That's like a fine one to do, because nobody wants to do that. You have to do a combine and tape it. We've also, the one I heard, which is my favorite, which is the most miserable one you could possibly make someone do, is you have to do a full day of flying where you're like doing pay for just connecting flights, and you're just like going back and you just circle back home after like the long day of flying. So I would put in a last place punishment. But in general, man, like, it is what it is with fantasy. It's hard to make people be active, in my opinion, in this sport. You just have to try to get the right group. I think one way to do it, though, that I try to do for my league, I have one more way that I thought of, is as commissioner, I do power rankings and I make them fun. So I'll do every 2 weeks, I'll do a power ranking, and it's fun stuff. It's not just like, fantasy analysis you'd see on ZBSsports.com about players. It's fun stuff about the team managers and inside jokes and stuff like that. So if you can get that going, it gets the juices flowing. It gets people more interested in talking fantasy and talking about the league. You got to find a ways to get people engaged, I think, and that's one way to do it.
Yeah, and obviously this would require more money, but you can up the buy-in and make people care more about that. Or you can keep the buy-in the same, but maybe do like a weekly pot, even if it's $2 a week, where the highest scoring team wins all the money. That could get people to at least set their lineups, make some ad drops.
Yeah.
All righty. Dan, thank you very much. Sorry I didn't get to kick you off of today's show.
Yeah, it's been, I've been kicked off of the last 2 shows, and today I came in expecting once again to prepare for a show, to get kicked off. But you did the right thing, Adam, and you're still my guy after today. You were on, it's, what do they say? 3 strikes and you're out. You had 2 strikes. So
well, for you it could be 4 strikes.
With my counting from earlier, that is true. Adam, though, I will say this: if you don't think I need to give you any games in tennis, you've got it. You're in trouble. And I haven't picked up a racket now in over a year, and I don't plan to, because I need to give you a chance to win. I have more than a chance. I feel very good about it. You have no chance whatsoever, but it's okay.
That's it for today's show. Thanks, everybody. We've got another episode we're recording in a half hour. It'll air on Thursday. It's talking about some mid-round running backs, who to draft when you get to round 5 or so, maybe 5 to 7, 5 to 8, something like that in your draft. And that should be a good one. We'll talk to you then.
Shout out to Dan's friend, Timmy.